Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a Happy Acorn. I think it's super adorable. Little top, and then a little acorn on the bottom. Band wise, there are 165 brown bands up on the top part. These are Cocoa from Rainbow Loom, and then the bottom portion is 194 bands, and that's Caramel from Rainbow Loom are the ones that I used. But you can use any different colors or make it crazy colors, because I know brown is kind of hard to come by sometimes. So super cute. And then of course you need either 9mm pony beads for the eyes or some wrap bands, and then your cheeks and your mouth. There is some prep work involved because we do have wrap bands up here on the top for kind of the texture of the cap of the acorn. So we'll go through how to make everything and then we'll get started. So first you're going to want 30, yes 30, of a single wrapped band over two bands. And that is just one band on the hook, double it till you have the figure 8, grab both bands, double it again, and then pull through two bands of the same color. So 30 of those for the top portion here. But you also need to have 12 that have two bands doubled on them, like that. It's the same thing, just only having two bands. So double it again, another one, double it, and then pulling through two bands. So 12 of those. Remember, if you have a latch hook, they make this much easier. So look for one of those if you have them. Make these much quicker, much faster. So 30 of the single, 12 of the double ones. And then you also want your cheeks, which are just like the single wrapped ones. It's just that whatever color you want the cheek, that'll be what you double on your hook. Like that. So two cheeks. And then your eyes, if you're not going to use the 9mm pony beads, then you can use two wrapped bands. So it's two bands, whatever color you want your eye to be, on the hook, wrap them around, and grab all four bands, wrap them around again, and then pull them through two bands that are the color of the acorn. So that would be your wrapped band eyes if you need those. So then we go to our loom, wrong end towards us, and starting in the center area, we work from the top down, so the top color. So we're going to do a starburst first. Everything's double banded, so two bands all the way around from the center. Doesn't matter where you start. But you'll want to do those wrap bands first and then come back, sorry. Because we use those right away. So like that. Center gets a cap band, two bands, wrapped around 3 times, so 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll take your hook, go in through the cap band, grab the top two bands wherever they are, pull them up through and back towards themselves. Do that all the way around. Like that. So now what we want to do is we're going to make our little stem piece right here. And that is first one band, doubled, double it again, then take another band, double it on the end of your hook, pull it through what's on, both ends back on, do that same thing again, band on, double it, pull it through, back on, And then you want to take 2 bands on the end of your hook, double it, and pull it through, back on. Do that one more time. 2 bands, double them, pull them through, back on. So like that. So once you have this, we're going to put this on across the loom on these 2 bands that are on these 2 pins. Half of this will go on one side and the other half will go on the other side. So I'm only going to pick up the top 2 bands for this on one side, pull them up, and slide over the first 4 bands. It looks like that. And then I'll put the 2 bands that I picked up back onto their pin. So now I have this. Then I just turn around, come to the other side, grab the top 2 over there, pull them up through what's left on my hook for the stem, and then bring it back and put them on the pin. So like that. And push those down. And now, on all of these around, we need to add a wrapped band. If you have the latch hook, this is much easier to do. But I'll do one with the rainbow loom, then I'll go to the latch hook. But it's take your band, double it like you did for all the other wrapped bands, and then you're going to pick up both bands, or all 4 bands. I always think of 2 as one. Pick up all the bands on the pin, slide down your wrapped band, and then put your bands back onto your pin. And you want to do that for all 6 pins around. I'm going to use the latch hook to show you how easy it is. I'll put on my bands that I need. I have all my bands. I'll just pick them up, slide it down, put it back on. Be careful on these ones on the ends where we put the stem. They still need to go on all 4 bands. Just slide it down. See how smooth that is with the latch hook? The latch hook should be able to be found at most crafting stores. There's called rug latch kits, and they usually come, or they're by where those are sold. I know Michael's has them and Joann's has them. There's different sizes too. Some are for like embroidery work, but you can kind of see how big this one is. So, but it's like $3, $4. It's not too bad, and it's a time saver, especially with wrapped bands. So like that. Now we're going to need those single wrapped bands, and we're going to do a row around these 6 pins. Stretch them out and put them on. I am still unfortunately sick. Just can't seem to shake it. Kids are sick. Just not fun. I hope this isn't a precursor of how our winter will go here. I took my daughter with me to the dentist earlier, and she was playing and coloring and, well, drawing on my pants actually with her pen because she couldn't stay on the paper, but she sneezed. So like that, roll all the way around, and then you'll flip the bottom 4 bands on all the pins. She sneezed and it was a mess, and I'm just like, I need a Kleenex. She was actually kind of, I normally try not to bring my kids with me to appointments, but this one was I had one scheduled for next month, but they were able to get me in earlier, so I had to scramble, and my husband had a meeting he couldn't get out of, so I'll tell you more about our adventures. So like that. So now what we're going to do is increase all of our pins. So starting over here on the right side, I'm going to have to pick up all 4 bands on this one, bring it down a pin, and then bring the top 2 back. Just so that there's no crossing of the bands right here. The band that's on this pin comes around to here, the band that's on this pin comes up here. On this top pin up here, I can just pick up the top 2 bands and bring them up a pin. And there's no crossing. And what I mean by the crossing is if we flip over the other side over here, if I just picked up the top 2 bands on this one and brought them up, these bands that are on my hook are actually connected to this pin, so they'd be crossing over this one. If I brought them up, we don't want to do that. We want it to be not crossed, so I'm going to pick up all 4 bands, and that's how we bring them up a pin, and then bring the top 2 back, so there's no crossing of the bands. And on this pin, we can bring the top 2 down. And yours might be a little different if you started your bands in a different spot than I did. So then for the center ones, just pick up the top 2 bands, see which side they're coming from, and then just bring them over to that side. And same thing up here on the top. If I can see. So the top 2 are coming from the left, so they'll go over to the left, and then these will go to the right. So I should have 2 bands on 12 pins. We're going to do another row around with the wrapped bands. It'll actually be 2 rows in total, so here's our first row. I took my daughter with me to the dentist. So besides sneezing, drawing all over my pants, which they're just jeans, so they ankle wash out of them, but we go back and they're checking things out, and this dentist office has their rubber gloves in the door of the cupboard that's on the floor. So they were right within reach of my daughter, and she's pulling some out and playing with them, and by the end she had about 5 of them, so I'm like, sorry about that, and I'm like, well, they're like, that's okay, you know, whatever keeps her occupied, and I'm like, yeah, it's hard when you're to change or make appointments really quick in that day, and so I'm like, okay, we're almost done. It didn't take too long, and then we're leaving, and checking out, and I'm heading out the door with her in her stroller, which, by the way, stroller doesn't do anything for her. She put the brakes on, she just kind of stands up and then walks with it like a walker. So there's our first row all the way around with our wrapped bands. These are the single wrapped bands. And then you're going to go and flip the bottom 2 all the way around. So I'm talking to the person checking out and all that good stuff for appointments and insurance and stuff, and my daughter's tootling around in her stroller, and I've got one arm on it, but she manages to reach and grab this plant that is sitting in the corner on the floor, and she knocks it over. So I'm like, oh no! Reach over, pick it back up, and like, okay, phew, there's hardly any dirt on the floor. I look over the plant, and it's leaking from the planter. I'm like, oh my god, she broke the planter and there's water going everywhere. I'm like, So like that, we'll do another row just like that with the single wrap bands. And so by this time there's the lady who was like kind of standing there, who had been in the room with me, and she was kind of waiting till I checked out. She's like, oh no, I got it, it's fine, it's fine. She's like, oh, okay, it's okay, it's okay, go ahead and go. And I'm like, yeah, get me out of here before my daughter breaks something else. I'm like, oh my god, this is awful. I'm like, yeah, it's no fun. So highly embarrassed, and I'll have to call them tomorrow to make sure that that she did break the planter, that I offered to buy them a new one. It just looked kind of like a fancy painted plastic pot, but I was like, yeah, that's not cool. So embarrassing. So that was the fun at the dentist, which is even more awesome when you're sick. It's always much easier to have things planned out way ahead of time of what I'm doing and where I'm going. So I make sure I have a sitter. Alright, so there's that second row with the single wrap bands. And then this time we'll be flipping the bottom 4 all the way around. I don't even know how she could have broke the plant, or she just like tipped the plant over. It wasn't like she kicked it or I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's horrible. Alright. Just kind of pushing these towards the inside. Let's push all that down. I'm going to do one more row all the way around, and this time you'll want your double wrapped bands. So the ones with the 2 bands on them. We just put them all the way around. We also went Halloween costume shopping, which was a very cute thing because we got there and Grayson and Violet had both expressed very heavily that they want to be dinosaurs. And so we were looking around and we found a couple that were cute and not as cute as some of the other ones. But we were looking, and Grayson and Violet have become very obsessed with the movie Frozen lately. I think I've watched it every day for the last 2 or 3 weeks, at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. I mean, it's not like we're not actually watching it, they just like to hear it, and there's certain parts like they have to hear the Let It Go song, and they have to dance at the end credits, and you can't turn it off until past the very end credits where the snow monster thing or whatever comes out and puts on the tiara. It's definitely, if I try and turn it off, if I like go do something else and we're playing in their room, or they want to hear it going in the other room. I'm not a big fan of having them watch TV all the time, but if a little background noise keeps them entertained, it's kind of like having the radio on, I'll live with it. Alright, so there's our row with the double wrapped bands. And then you'll flip the bottom 4 all the way around. So of course we go looking for costumes, and I see these really cute monster costumes, so I show them to them, and they have little horns and they're blue and furry, and they're totally adorable, and they're kind of like, oh yeah, we want those, and they're fine with that, and they thought they were still kind of like dinosaurs that way, so push these down. So what we want to do is we're going to transition into the next color. I'm just going to unstick these a little bit. First. And we're going to transition into the next color by puffing all of these and to do that, it's 2 bands for your next color, whatever your bottom portion color is. You take your hook, go through the bands that are on the pin, hook 2 bands, pull them up, put both ends on your hook, pull off what's on the pin, and then replace it with the bands that are on your hook. So it looks like that. I'm going to do that for every pin around. Pull them up, both ends on, off the pin, back on. So I grabbed the monster costumes, and there was one that was on a different peg, so I pulled that one off, and behind it was this Elsa dress. So now Grayson, he really wants to be Elsa for Halloween. He's like, I want that one, and I want to wear that one. I'm like, you know, in my head I'm thinking, I don't care. If you want to wear it, you want to wear it. But, of course, society is not always so accepting of things like that. So, you know, I tried to think, okay, well, I know you're in school now, so it's going to be a little, if I'm with you, I can kind of defend my choice, or my letting you choose that. But if you're by yourself, I don't want you to get teased, and you're not old enough to really defend yourself, and I don't want him to be ruined or jaded early on about things like that if that's his choice. And so tried to see if he'd want the Olaf costume, but wasn't going to have that happen. He really wanted the Elsa dress. So what I did was, we got the monster costumes, and then we also got the Elsa dress and an Anna dress. So now, every day in the morning, before Grayson will go to school, or whenever they're watching Frozen, they put on their dresses and they dance around, and they love it. They're so cute. And Grayson really thinks it's just adorable, and Violet just loves her little Anna dress, and even though she calls her Una, I'm Una. And she, like, I can get her to say ah, and I can get her to say nah, but she won't say Anna together. Such a stinker. So I have them all puffed all the way around. So now we're going to do 2 rows all the way around with 2 bands. And so I figured it was a pretty good compromise of what to do for wanting him to be able to express himself, but still being aware that at his young age of only 4, there are still going to be people who are not accepting or nice about him dressing up the way he wants to for pretend. And that's really all it is. He's just pretending to wear a costume so he can pretend to be someone that he likes. So like that. So flip the bottom 4. It's so cute watching them. We're trying to teach them, or I'm trying to teach them the lyrics to the songs that they like on there, and Grayson's got quite a few of them. And it's so cute because every once in a while he's just like, he'll be singing, and he sings really quietly, and then all of a sudden he'll just belt out something that he knows, and then he kind of looks and goes, anybody watching me? So that was our first row. We need to do a second row all the way around, 2 bands. But I have memorized Frozen, very much so. I think the kids have memorized it too. I'm kind of excited to see the Frozen 2 movie when it comes out, and probably take the kiddos to the theater to see it. I think that they'll enjoy it and actually sit through it and watch it. It'll be fun. Like that. Second row. Flip the bottom 4. So I've only taken Grayson to the theater when we saw Home. I mean, we've been to the drive-in numerous of times, but not to the theater, because little kids in a theater, if they get bored or upset, it's a lot harder to fix that or make it so they're not disrupting other people. So we've only taken him to 1 movie, and he was really good through it. Violet, being only 2, she would be a little bit more difficult, but I think that she would sit through Frozen if she saw it. She'd get excited. So our next row is going to be our eye row. So you want your eyes, however you're going to use those. So just start down here. 2 bands, 2 bands, then an eye. I just squish them through. If you have your wrap bands, or if you have the bigger pony beads. Eye. then 2 bands, then another eye. And then 2 bands around the rest. So I think that would be fun to take them to see that. And then I got rather stinky news the other day. Apparently our drive-in theater is closing. I am not happy about that at all. Makes me really sad because it's a good place for families to go to see an actual movie together. So like that, Iro. That's what the bottom 4. Apparently they were offered money for their land by a gas company that wants to, I guess, use the land for, I don't know, something about sand, and I don't know, I didn't pay attention to that part as close as I should have probably, but the drive-in is selling their land to this company, and this weekend is their last show. I am, like I said, not very happy about it. Makes me sad. There aren't that many left. Next is our cheek row. So it's the same as the eye row, it's just that the cheeks are going to go where we put the eyes. So 2 bands again. First couple spots. And then our cheek. Because the drive-ins are a fabulous place for families to go. So you're not bothering other people at the movie theater. You can take your young kids there. You know, they can pass out in your vehicle and, you know, or sit out on the benches, and it's just a really neat thing to be able to go and see a movie with your family. You're out, you're doing something together, but you're not, you know, kind of stuck being in the theater, worrying if you're going to have to leave early because your kids are upset, or, you know, because once you're in your vehicle it's pretty hard to hear. So like that. Flip the bottom 4. But this weekend, their last 2 movies that they're playing are going to be E.T., the original, and Grease. So I think the kids would like E.T., and they probably would like Grease because of the singing. The older kids would tolerate it, I think. The younger ones would enjoy it, but they would pass out long before that started. So I don't know, it's like I want to go because it's the last weekend, but I'm also kind of mad that they're selling it anyways. So frustrating. The almighty dollar wins. So push everything down. Now we want to put on our mouth. So your mouth band, whatever color you want that to be. I'm going to put on my hook, double it, and then I'll take it off and hold it while it's doubled. Then I'm going to go, take my hook, go in through the bands by the left eye, hook the mouth band, pull it up through the bands that are on the pin, bring it up over the top of the pin, pull it down, so now I'm wrapped around the pin. Then we'll go in through the bands on the right side, hook the mouth band again, pull it up through, up over the top of the pin again, and pull it down. So now I'm wrapped around 2 pins, and then I'll pull it up over the top of the pins. So it looks like that when it's done. So now we'll do a row all the way around. I'm kind of surprised that they're selling it too, because they said that they weren't making any money doing it, and so it just made sense for them to sell it. But what I don't understand is that at the beginning of the summer, one of their big things they're trying to draw people in to the drive-in again was that they said that they had just bought a new digital theater system, which I think that in the paper it was said it was like $200,000. So they spent all this money, and then they're like, oh, we're not making any money, we're not getting, I'm assuming they feel like they're not getting their money back quick enough, but that's a huge expense to spend and then expect it to all come back in one summer. Just like that. And then we'll flip the bottom 4 all the way around. So, I don't know, maybe they'll open up somewhere else, hopefully, because it makes me sad that they're gone. We'll probably see if I can manage to go this weekend to see the last one at the drive-in, because who knows, they all seem to be disappearing. There aren't that many left in the whole country, which I think is kind of sad. So push those down. So now we want to reduce our acorn so we can kind of bring down to that point. So we're going to reduce first this pin down here. So if you tuck in your bands behind this pin, it makes it a little easier. I'm going to grab the top 2 bands, and they're coming from above, so they're going to come over to the other side, or the opposite pin. And the other 2 will come up. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, this pin right here. Grab the top 2. They're coming from above, so they're going to go below. Then the other 2 will go above. And then we're going to switch over to the other side, this top pin up here. Again, tuck these bands in behind this pin if you need to. Grab the top 2. They're coming from below, so they're going to go over to the other side. And these 2 will come down. And then 1, 2, 3rd pin down, or the middle pin. Grab the top 2. Just the top 2. They're coming from below, so they're going to go above. And the other 2 will go below. So now you should be on 8 pins, 4 on each side. And we'll do a row all the way around. Push these down a little. So some will be long stretches and then some will be like normal. So normal, and then a long stretch, and then normal. Like that. And then when you flip on the pins, there's going to be 2 bands from the reducing, and then 4 bands from the row before to flip over. And that'll be on every pin. And kitty cat's coming back to say hello. We're having a really hard time deciding on her name. Nobody can really agree for whatever reason. So we're going to be doing our secret ballot names, I guess, to see how that comes up. Because we thought we had her name for her, and then one of our kids was deciding that they were going to call him the name that they chose anyways. I'm not sure what that was about. They were just having a bad day, I guess. So this time we're just going to do it by voting and secret ballot style, and whatever it is, that's what it is. So once you've flipped all those over, we're going to want to move these closer. So the ones that are kind of like right by each other, you'll leave those, and then the ones that are stretched out, you'll pull those in closer. So on the face side, I'm going to bring these down a pin just so they're closer. And just be careful, make sure you get all the bands on the pin before you take your hook out. Like that. And on the other side, maybe the lower ones will bring up a pin. Like that. So now we have all 4 right next to each other on each side. And now we want to reduce again. So again, starting, first I'm going to tuck these over again so they're tucked on the inside. Now starting on this pin again in the corner, I'm going to find the top two. And they're coming from above, so they're going to go over to the other side. And these two will go up. Then we'll go up to this pin right here. Find the top two. They're coming from above, so they're going to go below. And the other two will go above. And they'll go to the other side. And the top pin right here. They're coming from below, so they're going to come over to the other side. Then the other two will come down. And then our last one to reduce, right here in the middle, on the non-face side. Grab the top two bands. They're coming from below, so they'll go above. And the other two bands will go below. I'll push those down. So now you're going to be on 4 pins, and each pin is going to have 2 sets of reducing bands and then the 4 from the row before. So we're going to do a row all the way around our 4 pins. Like that. And then you want to flip over the 2 reducing bands, or 2 sets of reducing bands, and then the 4 from the row before, leaving only 4 bands on the pin. I'd probably do it half and half. It's a little bit easier on your hook and on your wrist. I did finally change my pin bar after I broke it. Woohoo! So like that. So you want to push everything down. Give it a little tug up. Just make sure you don't pull it off the loom. Unhook everything from the non-used pins. And then we are ready to take this off the loom. So just take your hook, go in through the bands that are on the pins that are left, and kind of go around in a circle. And then you want to take 2 bands and pull them through everything that's on your hook. And then it should come out to a point pretty nice, but just kind of don't like squish it way down, especially when you go to hide your tail. Just come up, just kind of gently hide your tail so that your end does not collapse in like mine just did. So it still maintains a little bit of a point at the end. Don't want it like super pointy, but just pointy. We got a few reducing bands that are a little pokey. So fix those. And then just from the stretching that we do, you might adjust some of the sides from where it was made on the loom sideways. But I think it looks pretty good. Fix your little mouth, so your little smiley ear. To fix his cheeks too. What you doing, kitty? But super cute. I love it. But I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you make some of these, you can share them with me on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook, which is feelinspiffy or Crafting Fantastic. And then, of course, it'd be awesome if you subscribe to my channel so you know when I'm coming out with new things. She's so feisty. But look at those paws. So awesome.